Okay, just waiting for this shit show to begin. I could have sworn she was going to be on already. Hey, what's up, Charles? Dude, I say that all the time. Like a dirty cute. Sorry about that. My paddle is acting crazy. I could have sworn she would have been on. She's avoiding this thing like the plague. I don't know if you caught yesterday's, Charles, but I had it. Take a look at it. It is hysterical. Everybody hammers her. MSNBC, CNN. Who else did she pick on? She picked on all the left. When it came down to Peter Doocy, man, she was out the fucking door. And again, right now I'm just fucking around until she comes on. You just saw the old Treasury lady. Who the hell is that? Secretary of the Treasury. Treasury Department.
Try it a little bit without your phone.
Okay, we're just trying to make sure the sound comes out good. No, for sure. And what they started doing is they started dropping gasoline. Obviously, oil barrels are starting to go. So they're starting to do that so that the gas prices during the summer months are starting to come down, so it calms people down before the bullshit. November, what is it, 118 days? Or is it 109? I saw it just the other day and I can't remember. Because the other was not working, so I just ran the wireless. So you hear both, right? I just did a video on it too, and I can't.
This is better.
Thank you, mi amor. Oh, I know. Yep. Hillary Rodham Clinton. She's a peach. Look at the lady in green up in a friggin'. It's like she's going to a leprechaun's funeral. Looks like she's got the veil on and everything, dude. She's gonna stand up and start throwing those little fucking chocolate coins. Everybody's looking at her trying to figure that shit out. Looks like a fucking superhero. Suddenly this guy's bad toupee and sweaty shirt aren't all that bad. Look at that. God love the Irish. There's no holiday today. What the fuck is she doing? Better have patted her down for some goddamn IEDs. Something shady's going down in that goddamn meeting today. Kareem came out yesterday looking like, what did they say? Somebody said it on Jesse Waters or somebody that Greg Gutfeld said that she came out looking like a nurse visiting angels. That was fucking classic. I was watching Gutfeld's show. He's initially I thought he was a little overboard. Now I realize that he is, and he's off his fucking rocker. Dude, he's funny. Gutfeld is funny. He's got some funny shit, man. He comes up with some stuff, some zingers. Watch that whole front row's gonna go fucking ape shit. And I think his name is Ron or Randy. I forget what his name was, but he was sitting right next to Ducey, and he's the one that got scolded in the meeting. That shit was classic, man. Today is they're gonna go ape shit because Biden's doctor just released a statement going against what the fuck Karine said yesterday. Shit's about to get real. They got two. The left they have two whammies against them right now. They have two big fucking issues. One of them is they can't release Biden to fucking Kamala because everybody knows that she's going to destroy the party, even for the next 190 days or whatever the fuck it is. So they can't get rid of her. They can't bring Gavin Newsom in because he's a white guy. You're gonna tell Katie. You're gonna tell Kamala to sit down. Hey, we're gonna let Gavin come in instead of you. Is that okay? That's gonna go over like a fart in church, man. And then the second one is how do you replace a black lesbian news fucking press agent? You can't. The left is fucking doomed. They hired people, which the presidency is a job. This lady obviously is a good salary. I mean, they hire people on looks. They don't do it on skill, on talent. It's no longer the best person. Now it's the best looking person. Some bullshit. And you know what sucks about that? Look at that guy's armpits. Holy Christ. Never mind. It's a toss-up between him and the lady in green. He should wear a sport jacket. Either that or diapers underneath his armpits. I don't know what I was saying.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the left are fucking doomed. They just had the top Democratic leaders meet today to discuss whether removing him is even an option. He's going to have to agree to it, though. And you know Jill is not going to release that. She's telling him he's doing fucking great. He answered all the fucking questions, man. I remember getting the same fucking speech in kindergarten when, like, you got all the colors right and you got the fucking square and the rectangle, you know? It was like that. It was that speech. You did so great. And I'm fucking... He got everything fucking short to the gold star. Fucking guy. I don't know why you can't get the gold star. Because he's pro-Palestinian. You get it? Oh. Where is this lady? I'm not even gonna pretend I could hang. I'd be able to keep up with these reporters because they're so knowledgeable into politics and everything else. Okay. Now, yes, granted, they each have their own subdivision. If they know that this question is going to be asked, this question is going to be asked, Peter Ducey, Jackie Heinrich, all of them, they have their skill set. I think Ducey's is. I fucking love Ducey, man. I like Ducey because he don't give a shit. The Jackie Heinrich, she holds back a little bit. She doesn't ask the smart ass questions. I read a message on my under my things. Oh, it was the one with Biden ignoring the black woman. Somebody put down the cadaver in chief. Dude, I almost lost it. That shit's some funny shit. The cadaver in chief. There's nobody watching the news more. Wait. Nobody's watching the news as much as Russia, China, Iran. They want to find out what the fuck is going on. And anybody says that they don't think that these nations, these countries don't know that he's disabled, that he's losing his mind, then I don't know what to fucking tell you. They met him firsthand. He's been nuts since February of this year. And he's met many people. And you saw him over in fucking England. My wife keeps telling me, he's just tired. He's just tired. And you know what I keep doing? I keep looking because I have my TV over there, but I have my screen right there. but I can't read the messages that far away. Dude, he has been. I don't know. Those videos, the racism that he has, that Biden has, is amazing. Oh, I can see it. I have this. I got to go get my upgrade of my glasses, Charles. I'm old. Thank you, mi amor. Okay. Man, she's running late. I hope she fixes her hair, because yesterday, man, she had a strand that went down over her face. If you're going to have dreads, man, you got to rock those motherfuckers. You only got two concerns. Not getting shit stuck in it, like paper, and when you're out, like leaves and shit. But on others, make sure that it looks tight. A perfect example is Steven Seagal's movie, the reggae movie. That was a badass movie. But those Jamaicans, man, their dreads were fucking on it. There was only one that his was kind of jacked up. I think he got through out the window. He got through out the window. Okay, let me see. Nothing yet. You know, it'd be funny if she came dressed all in red. And there, that guy's in white. Christmas colors. Getting ready for the holidays. Look at them. I can't figure out any other reason to wear that fucking green outfit with a veil. It's got to be a surprise guest from Saturday Night Live or something that's going to try to calm down the masses. That's what it is. That's Pete Davidson. That's what the fuck it is. She's that. What's that fucking supervillain's name? Was it Batman? Batman. Her name was Green Ivy. That's Green Ivy. Green Ivy's in the crowd. I see her. I fucking see you. We're giving this lady hell, man, and she's mourning the loss of a leprechaun. Charles, man, we had a great friggin' time in Vegas. I think we did. I can only remember parts. No, I'm joking. No, not a day trip. We took off. Shit, what day was it? Well, yesterday we got back, so we took off the night before yesterday. So in the morning, we usually take off at like 9 o'clock in the morning, so we get there at noon. It takes us 3 hours to get there, which isn't bad. Every time we go there now, I tell my wife, "Hey, we're gonna go meet Bob today. We're gonna go to Bob's."
There's still time. Yeah.
Interns.
Historic moment. I think it's all right. Thank you.
I wonder if they're ever going to admit to the fact that whose cocaine that was in the one unsecured area of the White House. I'm sure they got cameras in the fucking restrooms, man. Instead of a retinal scan, they have a penis scan. They don't even, They got them disguised as urinal cakes. And they don't have a camera to put up an area where they secure their shit. Yeah. You know what? Actually, wait. Because sometimes she has people standing on the side of her. Because I don't know if her and the Admiral are coming out. Admiral may make a statement. I don't know. Yeah, you know what? You can. I want to try to make this only on the days with press briefings. Because the press briefing is the thing that you have to watch the most, man. That's where the shit happens. Dude, No way, man. That motherfucker's way too fucking busy. Way too. His plate's way fucking full. Oh, you know what I forgot too? When doing these, because when it's watched in live, the messages aren't going to come up. So you basically have to read the message. You like that one? That's off the cuff, Charles. That's crazy. That's cuckoo talk. I got a nervous condition. Just came back from Vegas and I'm going through withdrawals. Every time we go to Vegas, we go to Fremont, I pick up a 12-pack of cans from the ABC store. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying the cans on the strip because they're like $5 each. You're lucky. But the only negative thing is, and it's not even negative because there's 12 of them that are bundled together. With my first try, I'll knock down one or two once I open the case. So then I'm down to 10. So then I'll have one in my hand. So while I have that one in my hand, I'll have the other 9 inside the box just saying, chill. If you want, you go by the hotel or whatever, shovel some ice on that shit. Yeah, you'll be dripping going down the strip, but she's avoiding this goddamn stage like the plague, man. She's probably they're playing fucking, what is this, rock, paper, scissors? Her and Kirby are doing rock, paper, scissors to figure out who's going to do this fucking briefing. She's going to claim that she has the fucking Parkinson's. Gamble much there? No. And he was on TikTok last night. I don't have TikTok. We don't have that shit. The only thing we have is YouTube. The rest of the stuff, especially TikTok, man. Chinese. I don't want my kids on it. But they got their hand in everything, I guess. I'll tell you what, President Xi is watching this fucking thing all intently. There's the dude. The dude to the left of the lady in green. That's the character that got yelled at. That motherfucker didn't care. He's mad. He got mad. Oh, Biden. So there's Peter Ducey. You can't miss that motherfucker. That means the show's about to happen. And she has to listen to his question today. She avoided it. The last press briefing, she had Jackie Heinrich on. Then there were two gaggles, which the gaggle is upon the airplane, which is audio only. And that one is difficult to tell who was asking the questions from Fox. But anyway, here she is, man. Look at it.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Really sorry for the delay. I just got out of the Oval Office with the president, who wanted me to relay a few new messages to you all on Hurricane Beryl. This is important to him, and he knows it's important to the people of Texas, so he wanted to make sure that before I came out here, I had all of this information. So the president spoke with Houston Mayor Whitmire and Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo about the impacts of Hurricane Beryl, and they both asked for help from the federal government. Because of the governor of Texas is currently out of the country, the president then called the lieutenant governor of Texas to ensure that Texans are getting the resources they need and deserve following this devastating storm. On the call, the president raised the need for a major disaster declaration and immediately approved it while on the call when the lieutenant governor requested. With this major disaster declaration in place, we will be able to provide life-saving and life-sustaining activities. The president and his team have been working around the clock for the past 2 days to ensure Texas has the resources and tools needed to respond to Beryl and emergency. Officials from the U.S. Coast Guard and FEMA have been on the ground, and senior White House officials have been in constant contact with their counterparts. While the storm has passed, our greatest concern right now is power.
I was in that room 2 summers ago in August, toured the White House and its rundown area. I heard the White House is just a fucking disaster. It's infested with mice. It's been through who knows how many fucking refurbishes.
And we expect another 1 million to have their help received today. The federal government has
Is that better? It's worse? Turn it up. I haven't touched it.
I also want to share one additional.
Hey, Charles, I'm sorry about the sound right now. My wife is on it. She's trying to fix that thing.
That meeting will be at 1:30 p.m. at the convention center, which, as you all know, is where the NATO sessions are being held, and it will take place just before the NATO-Ukraine Council meeting. This will be the third meeting between both presidents in recent months, following their sit-down in France and also a sit-down at the G7 in Italy, and it will further demonstrate.
This is all the blasé bullshit that they want you to hear anyway.
And finally,
Finally.
I want to say a few words about Sam here, who served as.
Look at that smile. She's happy as pigs in shit right now. Until the fucking fratricide begins. Because you know every single one of those motherfuckers is fucking left except for Ducey.
We were lucky to have him on our team, on our test team. His sharpness, his Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
Do you correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't explicitly describe the nature of Dr. Picard's meeting with Dr. O'Connor? Can you say whether that one meeting is related to your brother president?
I can say that.
Why is that?
I don't know what happened.
Just wasn't set.
Well, no, actually, a lot of what is, I said, many of the things that were.
And if I turn it up, there's
in
feedback,
the
huh?
letter is actually repeated right here behind this lectern at this podium yesterday. It was, what,
Here, see if this is.
I said many of the things, and we got clarification, obviously, from Dr. O'Connor, but it was in line with what I said. When I said only 3, right? I said only 3 visits that this particular doctor had from the neurologist. What I was not able to confirm is the name, and the reason why is because we do not share private information. That is something that we respect, and we wanted to make sure that we protected our consultants here that
Is that any better?
medical unit, their security as well. And so that is the one thing that I was not able to confirm. Obviously, Dr. O'Connor's letter confirms that, but we have to get permission from Dr. Kernard and also the president in order to put that information. And it is not normal. And that also states that in Dr. O'Connor. But many of the things that I said right here at this podium is in the letter.
And can I just also ask a little, this is the second time in less than a week where the briefing had prompted a need for later clarification on questions about the president's health. And I'm just wondering if you could speak to.
So I disagree with something.
Of course you do.
Yesterday, a lot of the things that I said right here in this briefing, I know you were not in the briefing room, it's in the letter. It was in the letter. It was being incorrectly assumed and insinuated that the president had seen Dr. Kernard more than 3 times. I said that it was only 3 times that the president had seen a neurologist. I didn't confirm the name, but I did say it was only 3 times. It was being incorrectly assumed and insinuated that the president was being treated for Parkinson's. I said right here.
Oh, there she is talking about Parkinson's.
I actually went a step further and said he wasn't taking medication for Parkinson's. I said that right here. It was also being assumed and insinuated that Dr. Kernard was someone who only worked on Parkinson's when in fact he's a general neurologist. That was something that Dr. O'Connor was actually able to confirm, that he was a general neurologist, not in fact a general neurologist. And we also wanted to set the record straight. And so, it is important. We believe it was important to all of you. I actually even said here at the podium, if there was more information that we could provide, we would do that. And we did.
The fuck you did.
Many of the things that I said right here is in the letter.
Does anyone think she believes her own shit?
She's beat back this effort to force him to step aside.
Look, you heard the president yesterday when he called into Morning Joe, did about 18 minutes of Q&A yesterday morning. He spoke very, very, I think, forcefully, passionately about where he stands, about how he sees things moving forward. And we also have said many times, we respect members of Congress, we respect their view. But I also want to say there's a long list of congressional members who have been very clear and in support of this president, whether it's the CBC, who gave full support, the Congressional Black Caucus, for folks who are watching and are not sure what CBC is. They were very much supportive. They said, we think that, this is Representative Joyce Beatty, to be clear, we think that the call went extremely well. The president was very responsive. Representative Troy Carter, who's also a member of the CBC, he was elated to hear directly from the president and that he is all in. And we are all in with him. You heard we got a Congressional Hispanic Caucus. They put out a statement in full support of this president, and there are others. And so he is going to focus on continuing to work on behalf of the American people, continuing to build on an unprecedented record that he's been able to get done with many of these congressional members that he's proud to have worked with. But that's his focus right now. That's his focus.
Talking to more people, more.
He's going to continue to engage. As you saw him in Pennsylvania when he was on.
Will he do a neurological exam?
On the road, he had two of the senators, two of the congressional members with him, the House members with him. He's going to be traveling later in the week. He's going to be engaging. I mentioned yesterday his robust schedule for the next 2 weeks when he's in state. He certainly will continue to engage. I don't have a list of additional calls to read out, but he did CBC last night, Congressional Black Caucus, and he's going to continue to engage as he has been. Again, Mayor.
To follow on, the president has made clear he's done talking about the debate, it's time to move on. But some of his allies have made clear they're very much still in his wait and see mode. And Senator Patton Murray said he must do more to demonstrate he can campaign strong enough to beat Trump. Senator Durbin said he's concerned whether this is just a one-off or a larger issue. So I guess, how worried is the president that despite his best efforts, he's not going to be able to close the book on his concerns?
And Mary, I appreciate the question, but as you know, there
I
are
hear you.
hundreds of members
I hear you.
in Congress, hundreds. And I laid out a list of folks who have supported him. We've heard from Senator Coons, we've heard from Senator Fetterman. There's support there as well for him. And so just want to make sure that we put that out there as well.
Party united.
Fetterman has to because Biden spoke up for him.
Representative Gregory
So
Meeks
he has to.
said coming out of the
Fetterman was in the
congressional
worst fucking
Democrats
shape
meeting
imaginable.
said that they're united. And you just saw
So
the Democrats
he's obligated to Biden.
take questions from some of your colleagues over at the Capitol. So that is important as well to note. But look, he had a bad night. We've talked about it. He understands people's concerns. We have been out there, as we have been in previous months, but out there obviously in the past 10 days, and more than 10 days now, since the debate. And you see from his engagement with everyday people on the ground, you see him with congressional members who are showing their support, speaking on behalf of this president while we're on the ground in that respective state or commonwealth. We were in Pennsylvania on Sunday, and so we're just going to continue that. But look, what I can say is, look, we respect people's opinion. You just mentioned two senators that we were very proud of working with over the past 3.5 years to get historic legislation done. And that's what we want to focus on. You're right, we do want to turn the page. You heard me say this last week. We want to get to the other side of this. We want to continue doing the work, and that's what the president's going to do.
And just to be clear, does he have plans to talk with leadership against him?
I don't have any
Nope.
calls. We don't have calls to read out or to preview. He is going to continue to engage. I just don't have anything right now to share at this moment. He talked to CBC, again, the Congressional Black Caucus members yesterday. They had a very, very good call, and so he's going to continue to engage.
Thanks, Frank. The White House has obviously fielded a lot of questions in recent days about the president's health, whether the White House has been forthcoming or not about that issue. And I just wondered, have the last 12 days made you reconsider any specific statements that you might have made in recent months on that issue?
I appreciate the question. I really do, and the opportunity. I think there has been moments here when I have said, and especially in the gavel, I think, and actually yesterday, if I have, said, misled in something that I've said or haven't had the full information.
If everybody agrees that you dodged it,
I will do my best to get you the information. Hence the letter.
You dodged
Hence
it.
the letter for Dr. O'Connor, right? And so I will, I've always said, I've always been committed to doing the best I can to give you the information that we have. That is a commitment from the team. It has been an unprecedented time. I think you guys could admit that, right? It is an unprecedented time. And so we are meeting
we have a president
a
that's
new
a fucking
moment that has
mess.
never really existed before. And so we want to make sure that we get you all the information that we have. And when we don't have it, we do try our best to provide that information. And so that is something that I'm going to continue to do. And I've always said, it is an honor and a privilege to be standing in front of you every day, exercising in the freedom of the press. This is a briefing that is watched around the world because we lead in democracy, right? We lead in the freedom of the press and what that looks like. Honor and privilege, and I will continue to do my best to do just that.
And you certainly understand, you speak on behalf of the president and you defend him, his actions, his
Jackie Heinrich.
policy positions included. Can I just ask you about one example, just going back, that comes to mind? September.
In the past, you're talking about the last 12 days?
I'm talking about
You just said
recent months.
No, well, you just said recently, it's been, we've been going back and forth. And so in the last, 12 days or so, that's how, I believe that's how you asked
Yeah,
the question.
I was talking generally.
Okay.
But if I could just ask you about one example.
I mean, look, if you're gonna ask me about something from months ago, it probably would be fair for
That
me
ain't
to-
Jackie Heinrich.
I probably won't be able to answer that right away, whatever it is that you're gonna say to me. So, yeah, I'm happy to do that, but it's also to say, hey, from September of whenever year.
Let her ask the
right?
fucking question. She doesn't even want to.
That is something that I probably should give a little space to kind of see exactly what you're speaking of.
Okay, and that's fine, and that ends up.
But I just wanna make sure that we kind of give some context here.
There she's doing that.
This was an event where the
Reflect,
president
redirect. Reflect.
called out,
redirect.
Jaworski, looked for her in the room, even though she had recently died. You told multiple reporters at the time, and this was asked in multiple different ways.
She was talking.
Right, it was because she was top of mind for the president. I mean, would you, on that example, would you offer a different explanation?
I would not, because honestly.
Oh,
I
you're
spoke
watching
to
the White
president
House one.
Right before.
That's the
coming
one
out
with
that day. And
CNN.
that is what the president did.
She's from
It's not
CNN.
something that came from me, that is something that came from the president.
So he was saying, even as he was
She
looking
did
for
that.
her in the moment, it wasn't a
She was top.
Okay.
That is coming, as you just said in your question, I speak for the president, I speak on behalf of him. That was coming from him, and I was delivering directly from the president what he was thinking at the time.
A very different kind of example, and this is more recent.
Sure.
When the president was in Italy for the G7, and you remember he skipped one of the leaders.
You know what? Let me do this.
Which was a major event.
You're right. I don't like
And I
this.
remember you were asked about it by reporters, and you said, we shouldn't read too much into the fact that he's skipping one dinner. I mean, what would the explanation actually have been that he was tired and that he needed to skip something that was happening to him?
My answer stays the same. I wouldn't read too much into it. It's not the first time that he has. He had.
Where is it?
So I truly would not read too much into it, and I will leave it there.
Okay, I have a very final question on the annual,
Sure.
letter from Dr. O'Connor. He said that the president continues to use it for duty and fully executes all of his responsibilities without any exceptions or accommodations. Just because it's been a couple of months, do you know if that statement is still accurate? It's still accurate. So no exceptions, no accommodations.
No exceptions, no accommodations. Thank you.
There was
Oh, it's got the thing off.
announcement from the Department of Justice today about crackdown effort to interrupt a Russian state-sponsored bot operation, AI tool operation, to denigrate politicians in the United States and elsewhere. Do you have any concerns right now as this is the leading edge of any part of a Russian effort to interfere in the election? Has the president been briefed on this? And have you seen any evidence that the Russians or other foreign powers have tried to seize on the debate performance to repeat some of the president's most embarrassing moments?
So that's a very good question. I would have to talk to our team about those particular questions that you just asked, multiple questions.
Because you can't think of a bullshit lie.
I leave it to the Department of Justice as
You put me on the spot.
what they announced.
Get back to me in about 15 minutes, and then I'll be able to bullshit
AI
one up.
has always been a concern. That's why the president made some announcements recently, to take executive action on how we can deal.
I want the lady in the green ask a question. I want to see what the fuck is in her mind.
More fulsome action legislatively.
Other than picking the wrong fucking
And that is
wardrobe
something,
today.
it is a cutting edge technology that we need to get our hands on and we get a better, understanding of what it could potentially do. And so that is something that the president certainly is looking to make sure that we deal with this in a full whole of government way. On those particular questions, I would have to check in with our team here, and obviously whatever's related to the Department of Justice.
Yes.
In that statement, I would refer you to.
Gee.
You said just a minute ago that the
So she's
president wants to
I thought it was a veil.
On the last couple of weeks and get into the silence. White House too.
Yeah, I thought it was a veil, a green veil.
Support over the last 36 hours from fellow.
I can't see out of my glasses. That's why.
To now start
Headguard.
turning the page.
A hijab.
I mean, what's his reaction been to what he's seen?
A headscarf for our Arab ladies is a hijab.
The question to one of your colleagues, he's very much focused on what's ahead, right? He's very much focused. He has a fulsome, robust schedule in the next 2 weeks that we laid out for all of you. He wants to focus on that, the messages that he wants to come out when he goes to Texas next week, when he goes to Vegas next week. He's going to be on the road on Friday as well. I also want to say, he is proud of the Congressional Black Caucus, who said they have, he has their support. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus did the same.
They should bring up the
other
Border
members
Patrol
of Congress, obviously. And so, look, he wants to move forward. As your colleague said, definitely unite the party, continuing to unite the party. We heard from Representative Meeks, who said that Democrats, the Congressional Democrats, came out of the meeting today united. I think that's important to note.
Yeah, kick Biden out.
He's going to move forward, and he's going to continue to go out there, engage with the American public, like you saw him do in Pennsylvania, and he's going to stay focused on that.
Does he feel like he's weathered this storm, so to speak?
Look, I think that he is more determined than ever to continue to get the job done, to continue to build an economy that works for all.
See, even Charles says it's a hijab.
We have a middle class, right, that is strong, right, that we don't have a trickle-down economy, that economy that's built from the bottom up, middle out. That's what he wants to continue to do. I think this week with the NATO summit, the 75th year of NATO, let's not forget, NATO has helped to protect Americans and also protect the world and what it's been able to do for the past 75 years. You're going to see the president engaging with 32 leaders of this alliance. I think that's really important. That's, again, on behalf
32 fucking people are going to see how
so
the
he wants
fuck
to do
up
that.
he is.
He has a lot on his mind, and as it deals with making sure we deliver for the American people.
That don't make me feel any better.
Okay, Peter, I know. We had our chat yesterday.
Yes, thank you, Corinne. Does President Biden commit to serving a full second term?
Peter Ducey.
Re-elect?
Yes.
Thank you. We know the president says that his health is fine, but it's just his brain. And that he's sharpest for
He's joking, by the way. We just want to make sure that that's out there. And people,
Let
he was
him
making a
talk.
lighthearted joke. As he was speaking off, he's speaking off the cuff and was making a joke. You know the president, he likes to joke a lot. He's the same guy who said,
Is he joking about his Parkinson's?
Right? So he likes to make jokes.
Does he joke about shitting his
I
pants?
think people laugh when he says it.
Well, he
So
also
it's a
said
joke.
he's sharpest before 8 p.m. So, say that the Pentagon at some point picks up an incoming nuke. It's 11 p.m. Who do you call? The First Lady?
He has a team that lets him know of any news that is pertinent and important to the American people.
It's called visiting angels.
He has someone, or that is decided obviously with his National Security Council on who gets to tell him that news.
So, Kevin McCarthy just said that when he was the speaker, many times when we had meetings in the Oval Office, Jill was there as well. When the First Lady's in these meetings, is she making decisions or is she just advising the president?
No, the president is the president of the United States. He makes decisions.
Okay. Another family member, President Biden has told me before, he and his son don't have any business dealings together.
Then why is he at the White
What
House?
is Hunter Biden doing in White House meetings?
Are you talking about the meeting where they came together?
We're talking about any of them.
Camp
Interrupt
David, and the two of them walked to the president's meeting, and he was there.
There's a report that aides were struck by his presence during their discussions.
Look, I'm certainly not going to get into private conversations that occur. What I can say is, and I spoke to this before, is that when they came back from Camp David, the president spent a couple days at Camp David with his family. He is very close to his family, as you know. It was the week of 4th of July, which is why his family members were here last week. They walked together into the meeting.
Can you say if Hunter Biden has access to classified information?
No.
And are you guys?
That's a lie, because they were in his garage and he used to drive his vet.
testing President Biden for Parkinson's or for dementia, because if he gets a bad result, it's all over that day.
Again, as I've said many times before, the president has had a fulsome, comprehensive, what we shared with you was comprehensive, but he's had a full
Spit it out.
physical. We've shown the results of those physicals this past 3 years. We showed it just 4 months ago. And it is in line with what we have done, similar to President Obama, similar to George W. Bush. We are committed to continue to be transparent. We are committed to continue to show the results of those physicals. And look, it's the president's medical team that makes the decision. We are not, with all due respect, you're not a doctor, I'm not a doctor. It is the president's medical unit that makes a decision.
That's why we're asking for the doctor to come out
Not
and
a
talk to
doctor,
us.
just play one on TV. But I know
That's
that,
scary.
that is scary. But I know that, especially as adults get into their 80s, health conditions can pop up more than just once a year when he's getting his physical. I think if my wife saw me on TV misspeaking or saying the wrong thing or seeing a change in my appearance, she would probably say, let's go to a doctor just to make sure that you are okay, you have a family, you have an important job. Why doesn't anybody in the president's family urge him just to go to get checked out to say the coast is...
Because there's nothing
Okay,
wrong with him. He
so
does a
let's step
competency
back
test
to-
every day.
Because I think you were in the
Or
briefing
cognitive
last week.
test, is what she said.
I don't want to go backwards, but just to share a little bit about that night. The president said it was a bad night. He talked about it. He had a cold, right? He talked about his schedule, right? Being abroad.
Oh, there's
and
a couple things.
so
Jet
we
lag,
spoke
too.
about what that night was like for him. And we understand what the American people saw, what you all saw. We've spoken to that. And I also would say, and I think you know this, Peter, you've covered a couple of administrations at this point, that the president, every president, has a White House medical unit that is with him 24/7, that is available to him 24/7. That is unlike any other American, right? That is not the norm. That is uncommon. Just down on the other side of the colonnade is where the medical unit is. And I did share that the president checks in while he's exercising with his doctor a couple times a week. And so he has that. He has something that majority of Americans, all Americans, I would probably argue, don't have, which is a full medical unit that is
Yeah,
with him.
keys to the fucking country,
And he gets
hands on the nuclear weapon,
full
and shit in your
full
fucking
physical,
diaper.
annual physical that we share with
That's
all
great.
of you. And that is very different than an everyday American who sometimes.
Perhaps he couldn't wake up from all the propofol that they're fucking giving him
They
to
have
go
to
to
get
sleep.
into a car. They have to take public transportation. The president has, again, a medical unit that's with him here at the White House in Toronto.
So I guess the question is just, this is not, you're saying this is not a situation where you would rather just not know if there is
What
an
I
issue
will
with
tell
the
you
president,
is-
because if he does get a bad result, it is all over. He has to leave office right away. He can't run for re-election.
First of all, it's a hypothetical, right? That you're giving me a hypothetical. But I will also say, just to clear this up, the White House medical unit, his doctor, they don't believe that he needs anything more than what we have been able to provide.
What?
A full, detailed, very comprehensive physical that he has.
Are they willing to put that down on paper?
It is their decision to make. It's not yours. It's not mine.
Are they willing to put it down on paper?
I
Because
agree.
we're
You
gonna see
mentioned
them in the
that
Senate
Democratic
hearings.
Party
We're gonna
was
see them in the
united.
congressional
Leadership,
hearings.
but a lot of
After this
people
whole
have
fucking
a lot
shit,
of concerns. One of the
shit, fucking
Cohen said today, not only are they not on the same page,
shitgate
but
2024.
how is the White House concerned about that?
I've said before, right, we respect congressional members. They have their opinions. We respect their opinions. Many of them that we had opportunities to deliver really good results on behalf of the American people. But there is the whole Congressional Black Caucus. They support the president. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus support the president. Those are pretty
Of course they
impressive
do.
numbers.
He's letting them
Senator
all in the
Coons,
fucking
Senator Fennell
country.
support the president. There's also another list here that shows support for this president. You're going to have some congressional members who feel differently.
He's got a list from the
That
top
is-
10
that is up to
psychiatric
them,
doctors who
right?
are
The
giving him
president
a
wants to
fucking
continue,
raise.
he's gonna have those conversations, he's gonna engage with congressional members, he's gonna continue to do that as he
He's helping their
has.
fucking.
That's not going to stop. Obviously, the campaign is doing their work, we're doing, continuing our
Bullshit.
engagement with congressional members as we do pretty much all the time on whatever issue you wanna work with them on. So that's not gonna change. You heard from AOC, the Congresswoman from New York, she said, the matter is closed and I support him.
Oh, take care,
I think
Charles.
we heard from Maxwell Frost, who was on CNN.
And I'll be recording that.
Was very supportive on CNN. So you do have others out there, just today or yesterday, giving support to the president. I can't, you're mentioning one person, but there are others as well. Yeah.
Oh, on a separate topic, they said at Richmond this morning, he said that the debate stage was words, the debate stage was performance. I would say look at actions and accomplishments. President's allies have made some versions that argue to not pay attention to what is said on stage, but what his accomplishments are. But when you're the president of the United States, don't words matter?
So when you're the president of the United States, I think any leader, right, especially including a former president, your words do matter. You're 100% correct. The president has owned up to that night. He said it was a bad night.
You better hit that thumbs up.
He said this many times. He's even said he screwed up. So those are the president's words. That's all I can give you at this time.
You know you suck at
We
this
do
job when your
believe
wife doesn't even
that
hit a thumbs
we
up.
should not just look at the 90 minutes. The president has
She just gave
done
me a thumbs down.
more than any other modern day president's administration. Historic things have gotten done. When I was watching the Democratic caucus, they talked about $35 insulin, right?
She said
Capping
cock.
that. When you think about seniors who were paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars, we were able to get that done because of a very important piece of legislation that we moved through, right? And
She had
only
an easy
Democrats
day.
made that happen. That's also because
But
of
that's it with the questions, man. She
Not
had an
just
easy
one.
day.
That's a bipartisan infrastructure legislation. There's the Chips and Science Act. There's the PACT Act for our veterans. I mean, there are things that he's been able to do that elected officials, presidents before him have been trying to do and could not get done, beating Big Pharma. So there is a long list of impressive things that this president has been able to get done, getting us out of the pandemic, that we do believe is important to note here as well, as an accomplishment of this presidency.
Fetterman could have been president. He could have
I
got
don't
us
think
out
it's
of the
been asked
pandemic.
correctly if it has. The White House and also the campaign has said that he had a cold that night. He then went to a watch party afterwards, which you have brought up. I was at that watch party. If he did have a cold, why then push him to another event where he spent some 45 minutes along the rope line?
I mean, and not just, and I would add to that, it wasn't just a watch party. We landed at 2 a.m. in the morning in North Carolina. He greeted hundreds of North Carolinians in North Carolina. He woke up the next day in North Carolina, gave a speech in front of thousands of North Carolinians. No. I'm just trying to. You gave me an opportunity, and I'm just using that.
Bitch, you interrupt
to
everyone.
lay out what the president did in those 2.5 days. Look, one of the reasons that we share that he had a cold is because during the debate in real time,
Because we don't know what else to
everybody
say.
heard his hoarse voice, and folks asked, and we were able to confirm right away that he had a cold, and that he was also tested negative for COVID. So we were able to share that in real time. So just also want to share that. Look, he pushed forward, right? Many of us have colds, and we still push forward. He's the president of the United States. You understand how important it is to continue to get up every morning, regardless of how you feel, right? To get things done. That's how this president is. I'm sure that's how many presidents before him were as well. When it comes to really not letting a cold get you down. And I think that's also why he pushed forward in the debate also on that night. So look, he pushed forward, tried to get things done, wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity. People who watched him do a debate, who were waiting for him, people at 2 o'clock in the morning in North Carolina who were waiting for him, he wanted to make sure that he engaged with Americans.
Finally, Kareem, this morning House Speaker Mike Johnson said, as he has before, that Democrats have been covering up the president's mental acuity for years. How do you respond to that? And has the White House been selected?
So I'll say this, Americans out there, folks who are watching, not normally in the day-to-day of what's happening in this world, there is a comprehensive full comprehensive medical report on the website, whitehouse.gov. I would encourage them to take a look, read that report, and they can also read for themselves what his specialists, a group of specialists coming out of the medical unit decided on, what they examined, what they saw, what they reported on. I think that matters as well. It is a group of them that come together when it comes to doing their physical. It is extensive physical. And so there is something there for them. It's transparent, it's out there, it's for them to read, it's for the American, not just for you, for the American people to take a look. And I think that's important.
Because I don't believe there's ever been a doctor, president's doctor or surgeon that's ever
The
been
president said
bringing
yesterday in his
brought
letter,
up
in his
on
interview, that he talked to
malpractice.
a wide range of voters. He overwhelmingly heard from people that they wanted to stay in the race. Our polling shows that 76% of Democrats think he's too old to run this year.
This motherfucker will.
How is he coming to this conclusion? Are you sure that
Something's gonna happen.
Pence is giving him a representative view of swing state voters?
So look, that has been, you all have asked me about polling his age for, I feel like a year now. It's come up many, many times. And, I'm not going to speak to polls. It's not something I'm going to do from here. I'm just going to let the experts, the pundits, and all of you. No, wait a second. I'm about to answer your question, but just give me a second. Look,
Wow.
for the past 3.5 years, the president has been out there talking to voters. And if you think about it, what he was referring to when he went to Atlanta right after the watch party, he literally did a rope line. Some of your colleagues were there. Some of your colleagues spoke to some of the folks who were there and heard from them directly. He heard from folks at the rope line. I mean, these are everyday, engaging with everyday people. That's what he did. Landed at 2 a.m. in the morning in North Carolina, hundreds of people there. He did a rope line, engaged with everyday people.
He did a rope
The
line.
next day, thousands of folks, thousands of people.
Do you know what that is,
the
man?
North Carolina event, and you heard chants, "Let's go, Joe. We love you, Joe."
They're probably
I mean,
saying
that's something that you feel, right? That's something that you feel out there, and that's what he feels out there. The next day,
fucking
he
Secret
went to
Service
New York,
outside my front door.
and
Now
he
we
was
can light
able
the live
to speak to some supporters there, and then went to New Jersey. So it is a continuation. On Sunday, 600 people at the church. If you watch that service, you heard from that congregation. If you watched him in Harrisburg, you saw him engaging with people. I mean, there's nothing that takes away, all respect to the polling out there, but nothing takes away, I don't think, from engaging with everyday Americans. I think that matters too. And I'm just laying out the last 10 to 12 days, right? That's just the last 10 to 12 days.
Over the weekend, the New York Times reported on a senior White House official who apparently worked with the president in his vice presidency in the 2020 campaign, said he shouldn't speak to the election. He thought he was not up to it, showing signs of his age. Just as the White House, know who this person is, or making an effort to find out. Are you comfortable having someone who apparently is traveling with them, working in this way?
That is the first time I've ever heard that, was in that reporting. This is not the last administration where we try to find who is speaking or leaking. That's not something that we do here. Everybody has their opinion, but that is the first time I've ever heard anything like that. I've never heard anything.
Well, here's my opinion. You suck.
Okay.
To follow up on something you were saying again about congressional outreach, has the president spoken to, does he plan to speak with any of those that have publicly called for him to go?
Look, I don't have a list of people that the president's going to call. He's going to engage with congressional.
That's the dude that got into it with her yesterday.
I can say, I'm sure folks here
He's calmed
in his
down
Office
today.
of Budget Affairs has had regular communication.
She has him on a short leash.
I just don't have a list of who he's going to speak to, but the president is always willing to speak to people who agree with him and don't agree with him. You know that about him. If you've covered him, he's very much that type of president. I just don't want to get ahead of his decision on who he's going to call and how that's going to work.
I don't think we've gotten public clarification of it. In the interview Friday, he was asked did you watch the debate? He said, I don't think I did. No. Did he watch the full debate or probably has he watched?
You know, that's a good question. I did never followed up with him, and I meant to.
Wow.
I have not asked him that question. I was there in the room when he was being asked that question. I just never followed up.
She is so
You know,
full of
that is
shit.
something that, you know, we can follow up with him on. I have not. I'm sure he's seen clips. I just haven't asked him that full question.
One other thing that's come
Yeah,
up
it's
is,
getting round the clock coverage, right? From all of you.
one other thing that's come up in the last little bit, the Director of National Intelligence, I don't know if you've seen this, issued a statement a while ago saying in part, in recent weeks, Iranian government actors have sought to opportunistically take advantage of ongoing protests regarding war in Gaza. In the playbook, we've seen other actors do it. We've observed actors tied to Iran's government posing as activists online, seeking to encourage protests and providing financial support to protesters. She goes on later to urge Americans to remain vigilant as they engage online with accounts and actors they don't personally know. But that's a pretty charge to make. You know, Iran may be trying to influence these protests in the streets of the United States.
So yes, I know what you're speaking of, what the DNI warned about. Obviously, for any specifics, I would have to refer you back to Director Haynes and her statement. But broadly speaking here, just bear with me for a second, Iran is seeking to opportunistically take advantage of protests. So I want to echo the DNI's remarks today. Americans across the political spectrum acting in good faith have sought to express their own independent views on the conflict in Gaza. The freedom to express diverse views when done peacefully is essential to our democracy. At the same time, the U.S. government has a duty to warn Americans about foreign malign influences activities.
Hence the name
This
binder.
is important to help Americans guard against efforts by foreign powers to take advantage of or co-opt their legitimate protest activities. We will continue to provide these warnings as they arise. And today I just want to convey a firm message from here to Iran and any other foreign actor that seek to conduct these types of influence activities. Meddling in our politics and seeking to stroke division is unacceptable. And we will continue to expose attempts to undermine our democracy and our society just as we are today. That is something that we will continue to do. The U.S. government will continue to vigorously support and defend Americans in their exercise of their First Amendment rights to protest and express political views peacefully. At the same time, we will continue to warn against exposed foreign efforts to meddle in our internal affairs and attempt to amplify conflict. The former is an essential part of the robust functioning democracy. The latter is a threat, and it will not be tolerated.
And the president's been right into all this.
He's been
No
briefed.
problem with it being shared publicly.
He's been briefed, he's been read in, and we believe, as I just stated here, it is our duty here as the U.S. government to share that.
It's your duty, and he took a duty in his pants.
I have a question about the NATO summit.
Sure.
There has been a lot of discussion about Ukraine, but also the southern part of NATO, countries like Italy and Spain. They want the summit to approve a new
I can't tell
relations with countries in
who that is.
and Middle East and work together in challenges like migration.
I want to say it's the lady in green, but I'm probably
So
wrong.
does the U.S. support this, and is the president trying to or planning to meet with any leaders of the summit?
So look, I think we announced some of the bilateral. We announced the one with the UK Prime Minister. I just announced with President Zelensky. We will do our best. You know, the president is hosting the 75th NATO summit, so he's going to be pretty busy engaging with global leaders and obviously hosting the event. So if we have anything more to share, I know my colleagues at the National Security Council will do our best to share that with you. I'm not going to, we're going to have some deliverables, we're going to have some statements to make, declarations. I'm not going to get ahead of any of that. So I'm just going to let this summit begin and let the president actually lead these next couple of days.
Does the president support this strategy?
I'm saying to you, I'm not going to get ahead of the summit. We're going to have many conversations, many meetings here. I just want to be super mindful. You also asked me about any other bilateral engagements. We've already announced two, and so just don't want to get ahead of anything else. You know, things happen. when the president is there, he gets pulled to the side. If you do pull asides, we try to share them in real time as quickly as possible. I just don't have anything to share outside of that.
Sticking with NATO, are there any details you can share on the President Biden's meeting with the President Phyllis? Still on CD, just need details on potentially what they might discuss if Biden had said he would announce American defense of Ukraine. Will that come up at all?
We will definitely, there will be more air defense that we will be announcing. Don't want to get ahead of the president. Look, you saw, as I announced at the top, you saw the president do a bilat with President Zelensky in France and also at the G7. It is always obviously part of those conversations is to continue to show our unwavering support for Ukraine. The president has led in this effort globally, right? If you think about NATO and how the strength of NATO and how it has grown +2, and how we have been able to have a stronger alliance than we've ever had before. That's because of this president, and backing obviously behind Ukraine. That's because of this president. So our support continues to be unwavering, and we will have more to read out from that byline.
And as it's the 75th anniversary and Biden's security, obviously, but what does the success look like for Biden, given everything that is going on, kind of the debate after now?
I don't know who's asking that.
So I'll say this, and I've said this many times before as it relates to foreign leaders. And look, I'll say that the foreign leaders have had an opportunity to see what the president has been able to do in the last 3.5 years. They've seen that certainly up close and personal the last 3 years. And they know that they are dealing with a president who has been effective and has been able to get things done. And just talk
he's
about
affected, all right.
Leadership and how we've been able to strengthen NATO, make sure that we invigorated the NATO alliance, and that we've been able to see in the last 3 years.
Could we bring in Finland and Sweden?
Let's continue to strengthen that partnership and strengthen those alliances.
The only reason they did it is because Russia was bullying them.
NATO.
They had to. They were forced into it. It's not like they said, we want to be a part of NATO.
Japan will be here.
They want to be away from everything.
Other heads of states. I believe there's going to be 38 heads of states that will be here. And so we want to continue to strengthen those relationships, and that's what the president wants to see. It is an important year, the 75th anniversary, and I think all of the work that the president has been able to do will be on full display.
One last question. If the president's health were to decline rapidly next week, it's kind of out of the blue, have you had any conversations with him, or has he made any comments on it?
Absolutely not. It's not hypothetical. No. Okay.
I didn't hear the question.
Stay on the NATO summit. While the summit, of course, is being held in Washington, China is criticizing NATO as the relic of the Cold War. It's causing high security risks to the world and the region. What is the White's response to this?
So look, Russia's aggression against Ukraine poses a threat to transatlantic security. That's what it does.
Biden
and it
poses a
shows
threat.
how critical the NATO alliance is and how important it is to continue to make sure that it is strong. And that's what the president has been able to do. I am not surprised. We are not surprised that China doesn't understand that though considering how they are actively enabling, right? They are themselves enabling Russia's war in Ukraine. So it doesn't surprise me or surprise us that statement was made. But look, NATO is an important alliance. It's been around for 75 years, protecting U.S. American citizens, but also the world. And so we are going to continue to strengthen that alliance.
Second question. Indian Prime Minister Modi is visiting Russia. We're all seeing the footage that is partying with Ukraine Putin, also seeking deepen bilateral relationship. We see that the Indian President Zelensky already expresses disappointment. Is the United States concerning that India, as a U.S. ally, might be actually adding Russia, either intentionally or unintentionally?
I believe my NSC colleagues have spoken to this. I'll just add that and just reiterate that India is a strategic partner with whom we engage in full and frank dialogue, including their relationship with Russia. And we've talked about this before. So we think it's critical.
Bitch, you'll talk about it. You'll talk about it as long as we want.
To realize and enduring
just
peace when it comes to Ukraine. It is important for all our allies to realize this. And so we also believe India's longstanding relationship with Russia gives it the ability to urge the President Putin, to end his brutal war and unprovoked war in Ukraine. It is for President Putin to end. President Putin started the war, and President Putin can end the war. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Karine. A couple of questions on unrelated subjects. First, there's been some reporting by my colleagues in the British press that His Majesty King Charles would like to visit his grandchildren in California and could do so in conjunction with a state visit. Has there been any discussion, or will there be any discussion between President Biden and Prime Minister Summer about such a visit?
So I don't have anything to share. That is something, obviously, that the State Department and MSC would certainly engage on if that were to be the case. As you know, the new Prime Minister will be here for the NATO alliance. I just mentioned that there will be a bilat between President Biden and the new Prime Minister. So the President looks forward to that. An upcoming visit that involves the King Charles. I don't have anything to share at this time.
Okay, next question. The President, yesterday on Morning Joe, said he wanted to make sure that the average voter out there still wants Joe Biden to be running for president. And you've rattled off a long list of campaign meetings that he's had over the last 10 or so days since the debate. Those engagements, whenever the President travels for campaign or official travel, there are great teams. People who get near him are screened, either by the Secret Service or campaign or both. So how are these groups of people he's meeting with supporters of his? That they are supporters. They get to these official events, these official campaign events. They are known to be supporters of the campaign. They self-select by coming to these events. How?
Some of these people are just saying
come to his event.
They're stupid. They don't ask real questions. These are the people that are on the back fucking page next to the classifieds. That's these guys.
So
Stories you don't give a fuck about.
Question, you would have to talk to the campaign
Look at her.
on how
She don't have that in her folder,
process
man.
works, right? No, wait. Give me a second. On how that process works and who's at these campaign events. So I just want to make that clear because I have to say that from here and make that clear. I would remind you that 14 million people, this is something that I can't talk about, voted for the president in the primary. That's 87% of the vote. That matters. Those numbers matter. So that is kind of a reality, a data point that matters as well. And so I'll just leave it there. But I think it does matter. I hear the question that you're asking.
I didn't hear it. I faded off, to be quite honest.
Directly from them. They're still sharing information, sharing how they feel, sharing how they see the future of his presidency, and I think that matters as well. As far as who's in the room, how that comes together, who's in front of him, you would have to speak to the campaign about that.
Last thing, he described his engagements with Dr. O'Connor on a regular basis as check-ins. That's what you described him having after the debate, a check-in versus an exam. Can you elaborate on what the difference is between a check-in and an exam? At these check-ins, does Dr.
Well, yeah, check-in is when I go up the window and I check in and I leave.
So I talked about this on Friday, their verbal check-ins with the president. They check in. As the president's exercising, that's usually how this happens. And they're not a medical exam. I said this already. I cleared that up. They're not.
Just tell a doc. You call on the phone.
It is a verbal check-in.
You do FaceTime.
Multiple times.
And your doctor is right over here.
With his doctor. It's normally as he's working out.
Does anyone from the medical unit take the president's vitals on a regular basis?
What I can tell you, he gets regular check-ins. He does regular check-ins a couple times a week with Dr. O'Connor, and that is for his doctor to decide on.
Has he had his colon checked?
Yeah. Good, Karen.
Thank you.
I bet he's clean as a whistle right now.
The past 24 hours. Letter to Democrats, calling to MSNBC.
Probably drinking that Pedialyte like babies.
Last night. Was that his decision?
I cleaned you out, right?
It has been
He's ready. He's on fire. He's ready to go. And he wants to get out there.
What?
And continue to show that he has more work to do, right? He has more.
How does she keep a straight
more
face?
important issues for the American people to get done. And so he wants to get out there. He's always has, though. I mean, the last 2.5 years, 3 years, 3.5 years, he looks forward to getting out there, speaking directly to the American people. And I know you say this.
He's got
I know sometimes
the longest speech I have
but
of
he does
his,
want to engage with
18
people.
minutes.
He does want to talk more to the press.
18 fucking minutes. Donald Trump,
to create opportunities.
the longest,
He's done interviews 47 times.
an hour and 40.
This year alone. And we're going to continue
hour and a half,
to
hour and 45 minutes.
We're going to get out there so he can engage with the American people more.
And you're going to question Trump?
So we're going to continue to do that.
But in terms of, especially in the last 24 hours, that type of outreach to ease concerns among Democrats about his campaign continuing, was there something specific that he heard or read that prompted this, it would seem more like a flurry of the last 24 hours, that happened last week? You really saw him doing more.
I get the question. Look, I wouldn't say there's anything specific. This is something that he wanted to do. And if you think about it, he's been on the road a lot since the debate. He was on the road on Friday. He was on the road on Sunday. And then right out of the debate, right, he did about 2.5 days of going into about 4 states. So he's just been on the road, busy, engaging with Americans.
Just because you're on Air Force One and you're sleeping doesn't mean you're fucking working.
He wants to do more. There's nothing specific, but he understands. He understands what you all saw, right? He understands he had a bad debate. He understands what Americans saw. So he wants to go out there and continue to prove to all of you that he can continue to do the work.
How that outreach is working, ease those concerns after the bad debate?
I mean, look, I think he's, this is kind of the questions that I got from other colleagues. He's hearing directly from the American people, and I think that matters. I think him being out there and Americans seeing him directly, being able to touch him and ask him questions and see him face to face, I think that matters. And so, look, we're going to continue to move forward and do what we have to do. All right, I think I can take one more. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. So we've seen that President getting on the ground more, but we've also heard like a new tone from him. He said he was frustrated with the elites of his party. He dismissed talks, he criticized media coverage, and journalists get election results wrong. So is this the kind of tone we should expect to hear from him going forward? And that's really, this is the kind of tone that the average voters, as he says, expect from him.
Look, I would say this. I think what we've seen the last 10 to 12 days is certainly fundamental to the Joe Biden story. Well, he is someone that is certainly counted out many, many times in his career. People tend to knock him down, and you hear him say he gets back up. This is the story. This is the story of him standing up for himself, standing up for millions of Americans.
Surprised he's not playing that at his rallies.
Millions of Americans
They're probably trying to get him.
And like
I think it's Smash Mouth.
They care about working people. They care about getting things done. And it really truly is who he is at his core, to fight not just for himself, but what he believes in. And he has seen this over and over again. People count him out. People say he's not going to win. People say, all of the negative things that they want.
It is fucking hysterical.
And he proves
I'm glad she could laugh at it.
Over and over again. You think about 2020. Book said the same thing. He's not going to win. He's not going to make it. And he won. In 2022, we had a midterm election. And going into that midterm election,
we're going to leave that alone.
Red wave. There wasn't a red wave. Happened in 2023. Now in 2024, and he's going to continue to fight. That is his commitment. That is quintessential Joe Biden story. That is fundamentally who he is to continuing to fight. All right, thanks everybody.
Fuck you, bitch. All right, I'll see you on the next.